Do you think you would ever go for therapy or consider therapy?
Yeah, I go to therapy. Um, if I could, if I could afford it, I would.
Oh
If
yeah,
I could afford it, I
that's
would.
yeah.
Like, I feel, generally speaking, I like to think, I, I'm personally responsible for my own mental health. So, in terms of me, personally taking care of my mental health, by doing stuff like going to the gym, just trying to be in a good headspace because life is stressful. Life can be stressful. Um, I do try and take care of my mental health. Uh, if I could afford therapy, I'd definitely do it because I feel like,
You mean right now in this state that you're in,
yeah,
you would
yeah,
go
I'd
for
do it, yeah,
therapy?
because health is like it's not, you can't be, it's not like a scale where like you
Yeah.
can go from 0 to 100. You can always be healthier, in my opinion.
Okay.
You can always be
Okay.
healthier.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I could go for therapy, iron out some of the things I'll be thinking about, not necessarily like out of pocket
Super
shit.
deep. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but
not like
yeah,
you're
like
banging your head
yeah, like
against the wall or
yeah,
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. So if I could go for therapy and if I could afford it, I would. What about you?
I have nothing against therapy, but
Yeah,
I personally,
wouldn't do it.
right now, I wouldn't. I don't see the need for it.
Right? Why?
Um, I don't know. I think like I look at mental health the same as physical health. So I see it as like, okay, cool. Um, physically, I would say I'm okay. I'm fit. I'm well.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but if you ask me, am I fit enough to be a Premier League footballer? I'm not.
yeah,
I'm not anywhere near
yeah,
fit,
yeah.
but I'm fit enough to function for my life. You get what I'm saying? Um, so I think with mental health, it is a spectrum where you can be healthy enough to function for your life,
Yeah.
and then you can get to the point where things become so complex that mentally managing everything
You
you can't. Yeah,
deteriorate.
you
That's
deteriorate
why
and
I'm
you can't
saying.
do it.
That's why I'm saying that. Right. Even if you didn't necessarily need it,
Yeah.
you should still go if you could afford it.
I mean,
Because
no, because what I would prefer to do is um like hone my own personal mental management abilities and my own sort of what's the word routine for mentally managing
right,
myself, if
right,
that
right,
makes
right, yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Now I understand that there's people that struggle with that can't, life gets too complex and they can't mentally manage things on their own. And I think what happens is if you don't address that complexity drives you either to the point of a mental illness
Yeah.
or probably into an addiction. I
Right.
think it can push you into certain
Different
things,
ways. Yeah,
basically,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's the point that I'm making. But I feel like right now, I have the ability to manage
Your
myself
mental health
mentally,
on your
yeah,
own.
yeah, on my own. But I would never rule out seeing a therapist.
Right.
Because obviously, same way with my physical health, if something goes wrong,
You
I'll
got to
go
see a
straight to the
doctor.
doctor,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So if mentally something was to, I would definitely consider a
Go.
therapist. But like you said, listen, a therapist is not cheap.
Nah, it's not cheap.
So a lot of people are out here struggling with stuff that if they could,
If they could, they would, and if they did, they'd probably be better off for it.
yeah.
But
But the
it's
funds just
it's
is
not
not
there.
there.
But I was reading this story about a woman who saw a therapist that was funded by the NHS. A story behind it was like she basically, her father died. She was in uni,
Okay.
and she was just deteriorating.
Yeah, yeah.
And eventually, her friends were like, you got to see a therapist. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
yeah, cut it out. You go to see a therapist. So she goes to see the therapist, and essentially, like, there's this disconnect between the advice the therapist is giving her and, you know, how it
plays
how
out.
it kind of translates, because the therapist is saying she's from South Asian, so
Okay.
therapist starts for some reason talking about forced marriages, even though her father's died. What are you talking about forced marriages for?
So it's like the issue of, okay, I'm going to a therapist, but
But
you
it's
don't
like,
really
yeah,
understand my kind of
yeah.
yeah.
And it's like, in that regard, even therapy doesn't always
It's not
slap. It
guaranteed.
doesn't
Yeah,
slap.
yeah, it's not guaranteed.
And there's
But listen, if you're in a place where something mentally is not right, you have to try everything.
yeah.
That's not the
Yeah.
time to be dilly dally.
and
Oh, should I
ahhing,
do this? Should I?
yeah.
No, try
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
because
yeah,
it's not
yeah.
worth allowing things to deteriorate to such a point where there's no return. So, but no, it's a good point because listen, at the end of the day, we live in certain pockets of cultures. Even though, for example, we live in England, we can't act like people don't live in certain pockets of cultures.
Yeah.
And most therapists may not be able to understand
Can't-
someone
yeah,
from
you
a
can't-
certain,
from a different.
so it
sort of
may not
background,
work.
Yeah.
But it's tough, man. It's tough. It's not the same as physical health.
It's not.
Because obviously physical health, all of us have blood, all of us have, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
we're all, but mental health can
It's
be
so
affected by
nuanced and,
so
like,
many.
complicated.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
It's so complicated.
Yeah.
It's so complicated.